Okay, so here's my fun question for you guys before the guest comes on. If somebody showed you a trailer or a reel of your life before it happened at the stage that you're at in your life right now, would you make would you would you make the same decisions moving forward? This is
About
kind
the hypothetical time.
Yeah, so like if somebody
Why don't
showed
you
you
give the example? That would be
Yes.
better.
Oh,
Go with the
Jesus.
example. You
So
go
like
first.
so if somebody showed me a movie trailer of my life right now, when I met the
Right.
man babe, going on our first date, if I saw the movie trailer of our life going forward, would I still go on that date with him? Or would I have still like, because that's my life right now, my boys and my family and whatever. And I was like thinking about it. I'm like, wow, that's like a really crazy, hypothetical question. And I was like, as crazy as everything is sometimes, like, I think I would still go on that date with him, you
In a
know?
world.
Stop it. In a world where there is a man babe and there is a Jocelyn.
So you're
Dun,
basically
dun,
talking about like
dun.
that movie, The Butterfly Effect, where like,
Yeah, it's like a big
they
thing on.
go, you make one choice where like you look at your life and you say, hey, this could have been a turning point in my life. If I wouldn't have done this or I would have made a different choice, my life would be totally different. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm kind of wording it wrong. I stole it from Social. So, it was like one of those things where everyone's like, if somebody showed you a trailer of your life, would you, before you went on that first date with
So
your
if you could
husband,
see the
dun,
future,
dun,
if you could
dun.
look into the future,
Yeah,
what your
like,
life would
but
be based on your life's decisions, are there any decisions that you would do, make
would you still go
different
on that
choices?
date? Like, oh, like, would if like, okay, so I would say with my man babe, right? Like, would I still go on that first date with him if I saw a movie trailer of our life unfolded
Obviously.
before my eyes? Yes or no? And I was like, yes, I would. But then it's like, it doesn't have to be like the first date with your husband. It could be like the first day of your college, or your career or whatever, whatever you want to insert
Okay, I
into
know what mine
there.
is.
Okay, what's
Mine
yours?
is I was 6
God.
years old and I had my first lemonade stand with my friend. And we really had to decide on pricing. It was like a big deal about how much we were going to charge. And in the end, we realized that it doesn't matter how much you charge, everyone just gives you $1. And that was a great moment.
And
Does
so
that help? Does that count
totally counts.
as a turning point?
I guess. I mean, so if somebody showed you a movie trailer before you
The
decided
lemonade stand would be in the movie trailer of my life for sure.
Okay, sweet.
What would be in the movie trailer of your life?
Nikki.
Well, when I was asked if I wanted to go roller skating one night back in March, I would have said, let's just walk.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Yes.
That's freaking,
Yes.
look, this is what I get for making
Jeez,
bad
oh,
choices.
Pete's. That wasn't
Isn't that
really a bad
disgusting?
choice.
Wait, is your arm green like as if you rubbed it on newspaper
I got a new
all
tattoo.
over? Yeah.
That's a bruise.
Wow.
That's her total chaos. I mean,
And that's a bruise. You
she had
see?
3 more incisions. Is that what you said? To like fix
Yes.
the first surgery? Oh my God.
That's what happens when we get older, you guys. We talk
still
about our
stitches.
bodies, like how they're falling apart, all of the doctor's appointments. We sit
Right.
around, we have some
Just
coffee,
death and destruction all
and
around.
go to bed at 4 p.m.
Oh my God. But okay, we're not that old yet. We're not like eating dinner at 3 and like going to bed at 5. But I mean, that, by the way, you were a part of that decision, that movie
Yes, I
trailer.
know you asked, and I was like, oh, what the hell? Why not?
Yeah. But again, like you probably would have chosen to walk instead of roll, I guess.
Exactly. Hindsight.
But
yeah,
you know what? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that would have saved me. Well, how long has it been? Since March. So
Hi,
it would have
you
saved
made
me
it.
months.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hi, Aaron. Welcome to the chaos. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're good. We were just
Great.
chit-chatting about if somebody showed you a movie trailer of a pivotal moment in your life, like before you actually made that choice, like would you still make that choice? So for me, example, I had shared going on that first date with my husband, and then everything that, would I have still gone? And I said yes. So
Of course you say yes.
of course, well, I mean, I could have
Because you
said
have some
no.
kids. Could
Yeah.
you be like, maybe not, but I'd keep the kids?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna exchange the husband.
Then I want to change mine.
Okay.
I funnily enough, my life story, no, I wouldn't. But you know what? You hit it on the head with the kids, because I think once they're children, you can't go back. You can't go back. Well, I can't. I can speak for myself in saying that my children are the light of my life. And, as it become clearer as we have a chat, we'll find out more about why that's a little more true maybe for me than other people. But I think that's the life-changing moment when selfishness becomes less of a focus for us as humans, as a species, and we become this all sharing and all loving creature. Well, that's the aim anyway. I'm not saying all their parents are like that.
It is a weird phenomenon. You go,
It is.
like, I can look at other people's kids and be like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely not.
And you have a
I
new
can agree with
addition
that.
to your family, so that
I
the
certainly
newness
do.
is still there. So
Yeah, but I'm quite an older. I'm 47 now, so for me, if I could live to be 100, I'd have another 4 or 5.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
I mean, I don't have to carry them. So look, if my partner
was
can
just
do
gonna
this, which
say.
she usually can, she's no, no, you don't. But I would, because I feel that's where the change is in imparting my life experiences and my stories and the way I perceive the world onto a new generation. Because I tried changing the world. I made a really good crack at it, and it didn't really work when you deal with adults. Whereas I find when you connect with children, it's a very different place. There's
Sure.
a sincerity and a level there of understanding that we've lost as adults that they still hold. So,
What do you mean
it's like
you tried
breeding your
to
own
change
football
the
team.
world?
Well, I'd end up in Africa. I didn't go there hoping to change the world. I went there selfish. I was still an adventurer and an explorer, and really just wanted to do whatever when I wanted. I left the Middle East, fell in love with a girl, left my dream job.
It's always a girl or a
It's
boy.
Always with
I
me.
know,
Always.
right?
Every single time a coconut.
That's what
you say in
makes it
Africa.
fun.
We have to cheers. We have to cheers before we get too far into
Cheers.
our
Oh,
conversation.
Okay, well,
Cheers.
mine's
You have
on
coffee?
tea, guys.
Oh,
Cheers.
tea.
Red
Well,
wine.
you want to know why? That's because it's morning there, which is I find so fascinating that it's 8 o'clock here in Florida in Eastern Standard Time, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning in Australia, which is where
Well,
you're at.
I'm Australian, so the truth is that could be beer, and I just could be pretending that I'm well behaved. And if we were in Africa, that would be a rum and coke at 10 o'clock in the morning. So
wow.
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, Africa, yeah, it's just drinking it. Look, Africa is a continent of PTSD. To survive
Totally.
in Africa, you carry post-traumatic stress disorder. There's probably not a human there who doesn't.
Wow.
So
Part
how
of
did you?
the
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Ask questions, because
I was gonna
I'll just go on and on.
I know. I was just gonna say. So, how did you get to Africa? Like, I mean, I wanted to cheers, so I didn't mean to interrupt you and stop you. But I mean, it's like, how did you get to
No,
Africa? And there was a girl. There's always a girl.
yeah.
Or a
For
boy.
me, always a T junction, and always quite a serious one. So I was in the Middle East, and the bubble burst financially there, which a lot of people heard about Dubai and how everything would crash, and people were, stealing cars and selling and robbing the banks of money and fleeing the country. I was
Oh,
safe. I had a
yeah.
very good job. I was about to do the first Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, so I was safe, an Australian passport. But my partner at the time wasn't. She was on a South African passport, and the second the bubble burst, all of the recruitment companies instantly closed overnight. So
Wow.
literally about 1,000 people were fired and told 30 days to get out.
Wow.
She was one of them. So, I'd never been to Africa, and being the, like I said, selfish explorer, doing whatever when I wanted, no ties, I said, yeah, I'll do that. So, yeah, packed up and moved initially to South Africa, followed her there. Ended up in a macadamia farm in between two places called Nelspruit and White River. That's important purely because Nelspruit's right beside the Kruger National Park.
Right.
Now, anyone who knows the Kruger National Park, it's probably the largest and most successful African wildlife game centre on the continent.
Wow. Cool.
Right. So you're
Yeah.
actually like an elephant what is it? A conservationist?
Conservationist. Yeah,
Yeah,
but by
like,
accident I
that's
wasn't.
so awesome.
I didn't have had no education in it. I
No, you
literally fell in
didn't?
love with that. No, I fell in love with the animals living so close while I was in South Africa. And the more I spent time around, the more I had this affinity with elephants and with lions as well, where, people track them very well. But in the early days, it was just this ability to find them and spend a lot of time with them. So when we moved north from South Africa into Zimbabwe, I had issues with the immigration department there getting a job. In essence, there was a long war and a battle there, and I ended up working for a guy who was ex-National Parks and Wildlife. So it's like you guys, he's got animals, parks, nature as a whole. And he trained me on tracking animals, trapping them, relocating them, darting them, so they can be relocated, keeping them, medicated while they're in transit, all these sorts of, really mundane things. But what that led to for me was just this passion, I guess, or this idea that I'd always had an affinity with animals from a young boy. And here was an opportunity in a country that has very little bureaucracy if you've got a US dollar in your hand. So anything you want to do, you can do.
Wow.
Anything. And
Wow.
so, I got word that they were shooting elephants up in the north of the country in a place called Churundu. And I decided I wasn't going to sit for it. And I'd had enough time in country and I knew how the system worked and I knew how to play it. So I overnight created an organization called Conflict Wildlife Management and started developing tools to try and keep the elephants out of the town there, because they were being shot for no reason other than their presence, and they were in conflict. And I do the inverted commas thing there, because they weren't in conflict. These elephants had lived there for 30, 40 years. They were well known by people. There were photos of them as babies and people's holiday snaps.
In order for people to be able to like shoot them without getting in trouble, they just have to say that like they're a conflict. Is that basically the deal?
They call it a PAC ruling, which is a problem animal control ruling. So what they do is they call the parks officer and say, he charged me.
Right.
Yeah. Now it doesn't, the whole story won't be investigated. The reason he charged was because you nudged him with your car, or you threw rocks at his head, or you tried to attack a baby or steal a baby, which had happened as well. Because it was a border town as well. So it was crazy. It was a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs. And so the town itself was noisy, messy. No one lived there permanently. It was a horrible hot place. Average temp probably 42 Celsius, which I haven't got a clue what that is in Fahrenheit, guys. Sorry, but it's bloody hot. Yes, exactly. You're really, really hot, very humid. And people are only there for one reason: to make money. So there's no morals in the place. It's full of prostitution, drugs. It's just a hellhole. African border towns are the epitome of, the hell. They're just terrible places.
Yeah.
So they were shooting them.
I love elephants. I mean, I just absolutely love elephants. Like, I think that they're just like some of the coolest, most majestic,
fascinating.
So fascinating, so smart. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but my oldest
Right.
like loves elephants. And we tried so hard to go see an elephant, at a zoo, which the closest one was like in Chicago at the time. And we got there and the elephant was on vacation, and I was like, no, why my life, so he ended up
on vacation.
Yeah,
I like that term.
Yeah,
that's what I say about everything that is missing in my house. Like my daughter will be like, where are my slippers? I'm like, I feel like they're on vacation. Like the tooth fairy didn't come. Oh, she's probably on vacation.
Like the sock fairy, the missing sock fairy.
Right.
There's an elephant fairy. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and the reason they put them on vacation, although I don't know if I really want to tell you this.
I do.
We want to hear it.
You have to tell me now.
Okay, because they suffer from depression in captivity.
Aww.
And so what will happen is, no matter how cool the enclosure and how beautiful you design it, eventually they'll start rocking back to forth. And there's not a human being that will see an elephant in that state that does not instantly know that you're seeing pain, because an elephant is an incredible, like we see them on TV, and like I did for 35 years of my life. When you get in their presence, like I'm getting shivers now, it's been a couple of years, it is the most awe-inspiring. I consider them of a higher intelligence than us, put it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I don't say that just being one of these greenies. I'm not really a greenie or a true conservationist. I say that with true, they have a sense of connection with the earth and with nature that we've just long lost. Mm-hmm. And they're an incredible creature to work very closely with. I was very lucky.
Yeah, I was reading up on elephants, and like they're like super social, they're very caring, they're family, they express grief, compassion, they're playful, like they're super intelligent. They have like memories, right? You always talk about like the memory of an elephant. And so we're big elephant lovers here. My oldest collects elephants, and it's just
Oh, that's that's cool. So
not real elephants, but like
so that'd be even cooler.
Oh
so now we know where she went on vacation.
Right.
You lifted an elephant and stole it. You just wanted to take it home with you.
Exactly.
But and they are. I mean, I've got stories of when we initially started our program up there. We were using chili resin, which was developed specifically to be sticky and incredibly hot. It's about 1,000 times more powerful than Tabasco sauce.
Right.
And so we brewed this with ethanol, and it was injected into ping pong balls, and we shot these at the elephants to try and keep them and deter them from coming into the town.
Wow.
We would chase them around in a 4x4 in a pickup and shoot them with this stuff in the face, in the mouth, wherever we could that was sensitive, to try and teach them, do not come in across this area. This is not safe for you.
Yeah.
Now, they would then come and stand next to my tent where I slept. And there was never any aggression. Now, they know I was the one chasing them. They can smell you from a long way off. They knew that I was causing them pain.
Right.
They would come and sleep next to my tent, which to me was this understanding that they knew my intention.
What?
But even though,
That's so cool.
yeah, and that goes deeper. I mean, I didn't talk to my sister for 15 years, and she came to Africa to see me. I took her up there to see my elephants, because at the time I still considered them my babies.
Mhm.
And I put her on the back of a truck and I walked off. I put her right beside a big clump of trees where I could see a herd, and she didn't know the elephants were in there. It was a matriarch herd, so a female group. And I walked off to say I was going to the toilet. And I'm walking off, and then anyway, out burst this herd of elephant around this truck. And my sister's eyes just burst, and they brought their babies out. Now,
Oh my
elephant
God.
herds, matriarch herds do not bring their babies near other herds, let alone people. And they brought them out to introduce them, and they sniffed her.
Wow.
I believe that they
Wow.
could tell there was a bloodline connection, because, again, they don't do that. It's not
That's
typical
incredible.
behavior. And to me, it was like a thank you.
Yeah.
You know, to give her that experience was absolutely awe-inspiring, to be that
I'm
close to
sure.
a herd.
Right. Because they knew you were protecting them from getting,
That
harmed
is
by
so
other.
interesting.
Yeah.
That is
Oh,
coming from
yeah.
I have a kind of like a weird interest in language in general. And language is not like speech. That's like a different
No.
thing. So I'm
I'm with
wondering,
you.
what is the language situation that they're using? Like, even with you,
Well,
you might
they
be talking to
use
them. They don't even realize, you don't even realize it.
they use low frequency vibration, which you can kind of hear at the higher end, but their main calls, which travel over 4, 5, 6, 7 kilometers, you won't hear. They're way below our human hearing ability. I at times felt they could read my mind, and I know that sounds a bit crazy,
No.
but I
Not
don't
in this
believe I could.
place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the vibe place. We're totally into that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I became a very good tracker of elephants, but I don't believe I was tracking them. I believe they were finding me. See, I'd be working with Africans, and they come up with fancy names for me, saying I was using juju or black magic, because a white man shouldn't be able to track like an African. I'd only been in the country for 5 years. They grew up tracking, and I could out-track them. And I got to the point towards the end where I'd say, no, it's not me.
Yeah.
I wasn't. They were finding me. And I
That's so
believed,
cool.
again, that they could sense the intention in the area. And I'm at stories of young elephant I tracked for days in big groups, big parties, and we could not find them. And I knew it was there. There's one particular little Nyakasanga. I knew he was there, man. And they called. The vets are going, no, we're leaving. And I'm like, no, you can give me another 3 hours. And so I sent everyone away. And man, would you believe it? I split the one group of people into 2 groups and put them on 2 stop groups about 1.5 km apart. And I stayed in the middle. And you would not believe, as soon as I turned my back to give up, this little elephant hobbled out through the bush right where I
Wow.
was,
Oh, that's awesome.
because I was alone. I
That's
believe,
incredible.
again, because everyone else was carrying, there were guys with weapons. There was a lot of noise. And this little Ellie was only about 7 years old. So he's a baby still.
Oh,
Yeah.
And there's footage on my Facebook I shot with him. His ankle was literally about 3 times the size it should have been, because he'd picked up a buffalo snare. So it's a piece of wire designed to catch buffalo, and it had caught around his leg, and then it tightened, and it keeps tightening, and it keeps tightening. And eventually he'll snap it, but it's now embedded an inch under his flesh against the bone. So the herd leaves him, because he's now a line magnet. He's now, that's what happens in nature,
Did you save him?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We got him. You see the full
Yeah, you
surgery stuff is on
did.
my, yeah.
It's on your
And yeah,
Facebook page. Yeah.
Yeah, so on my Facebook page under Aware, which is the team of vets I worked with on that operation, Little Nyakasanga. In fact, it was played in the States. I got it on last minute, and there was quite a few stations that played it over there.
Yeah.
And you see the footage of him getting up again, yeah, and walking off.
That's
Aw.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
totally
it was.
awesome. We I have a little one behind me. Never mind. If you
That's
see any
all right.
rustling behind me, like behind the curtain, the cast curtain,
That's cool.
happens every time. I have 3 boys, so being a boy
Well,
mom,
that's cool.
it's always crazy.
I like that.
Yeah. I have to tell you, going back to like your first comment about kids, I was never gonna have children ever.
Me
I
too.
was never getting
I was
married. I
one
was
of them.
never having, yeah, I was
Really?
never
You
having,
too?
yeah.
Yeah, me
And
too. I was identical. I was the same as you.
yeah, and then we decided to have a kid, and it was like one and done, and then after you get started, it's like I realized that, like, I never even knew my purpose, or, like, I really wasn't even very grounded until I got married and met my I call him my man babe lovingly, and started having kids, and I really feel like
Yeah,
they've defined, like, who I am as a person, and that I could go a little to the extreme, and I'm trying to, like, reel it back in a little bit, and do a little bit more self-care, since this whole, like, the C word we call C word is COVID, happened. But, because sometimes you can be too consumed by your kids a little bit, but,
very
uh,
good point.
yeah, but at the same, you still have to take care of you. But,
Yeah,
yeah. So anyways, now I have 3 kids. And now
yeah,
I'm like
I agree. You've
questioning
made
my
it.
choices.
Mm. Yeah, no, I
A little bit.
understand that point of view. I was the same. I didn't want to bring any kids into the world. The world had enough people, overpopulation, blah blah, all that stuff. And then when I had my daughter, I was 40 when I had my daughter, and that word grounded is exactly what it was. I always knew parts of who I was, but what she did was brought it into focus. Most of my successful elephant and animal work, especially on the lines, was because of her. Because I was meandering. I mean, I'd spent 40 years doing what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted, with very little care. And not that I was selfish. I just had a very weird and unique upbringing. So I was just geared towards moving. Don't stop, keep going, keep achieving, keep doing whatever it is, crazier the better, and just keep going. And my daughter brought me back, like you just said, to that grounded place of purpose, of why am I doing this? And again, you made up a very good point, and I still do it now. Is I get caught up in that very much, way too much sometimes. I love
That's
being
good
caught up in
though.
it. It's a beautiful place to get caught up in, but you do have to be aware. And I'm on that journey a little bit now, that what's important is how I see myself, because I can't tell them how to see themselves. I always thought that you could tell a child, you're intelligent, you're beautiful. Actually, it doesn't work like that. It's when I feel intelligent, it's when I see beauty in myself, that my children learn to see it themselves.
That's what I say
If
to
I
all
don't have it in
parents.
me, if I don't have it in me, I can't tell my daughter she's beautiful if I think I'm ugly, because
Right.
she will sense that. Because like an elephant, children operate on a very different frequency in a very different world to us. We've forgotten what it was like to be a feeling creature without the mind going crazy and adding all the bullshit in.